Facts First presents. These ghost stories from America's most haunted cemeteries will send shivers up your spine. There are some people who believe in ghosts, and there are skeptics. There are some who are so sure that ghosts exist that researching the paranormal is what they do for a living. There are many reality shows on TV where quote-unquote ghost hunters visit places that are said to be haunted to try and document evidence of a haunting. There are even movies and TV shows that are supposedly based on true stories. As much as skeptics want to deny it, it's hard to say ghosts don't exist. When you think about places that could be haunted, the first that probably comes to mind is cemeteries. It just makes sense because cemeteries are, of course, where the dead are buried. Even if a person says they don't believe in ghosts, they're not really in a hurry to go into a cemetery, especially at night. There are many cemeteries that are said to be truly haunted, and these ghost stories from America's most haunted cemeteries might send shivers up your spine. Before we get into our video, jump down to the comments and let us know if you believe in ghosts. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Bachelors Grove Cemetery in Bremen Township, Illinois. Many people believe it's possible for cemeteries to be haunted because cemeteries are filled with the dead. Well, there's a cemetery in the suburbs of Chicago called Bachelors Grove Cemetery, and it is said to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in the world. When you think of a haunting, you expect to see shadows, hear sounds, maybe even feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up. What people report seeing at Bachelors Grove Cemetery wasn't any of these things. Many people have reported seeing an entire farmhouse complete with a porch swing suddenly appear in the middle of the cemetery. A few people who saw the mysterious farmhouse walked towards it, and the closer they got, the smaller it became, and soon the farmhouse disappeared completely. Nobody knows why a farmhouse would be haunting a cemetery. Did it belong to someone who was buried there? Did a ghost conjure that old house up? Nobody knows why or how the house appears, but it has to be something spooky to see. Stull Cemetery in Kansas. Stull Cemetery is located in Lecompton, Kansas, and at first glance it looks like a typical cemetery. Stull Cemetery has one feature, though, that you will not find in any other cemetery in the world. It has a gateway to hell. We all know hell is supposedly full of demons and the most horrific and scary things you could ever imagine. The devil himself supposedly runs hell. Toward the back of the cemetery is an old, ruined church. It's been there for hundreds of years. It's been neglected for almost as long. The church is creepy, but the legend of the church is even creepier. According to the legend, if you tap on a piece of the broken-down church, Satan will appear in front of you. Why a person would want to come face-to-face with the devil himself is unknown, but the legend of the church has brought many people to Lecompton just to see if the stories are true. Westminster Burying Ground in Maryland. There's a lot going on in this cemetery, and for good reason. The cemetery is the final resting place of Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote several terrifying stories in his time. When he died in 1849, he was laid to rest in Westminster Burying Ground. Since his death, many people who have visited the cemetery have claimed to see his ghost wandering the cemetery at night. As if seeing Edgar Allan Poe's ghost isn't scary enough, there is supposedly another ghost haunting the cemetery. It's also said that the cemetery is home to the Screaming Skull of Cambridge. The head belongs to a minister who was murdered. After his murder, many people claimed that he was still screaming, even in death. To stop the skull from screaming, legend says that the skull was interred in a concrete block to muffle the cries. Many people say that if you visit the cemetery and you listen really hard, you can still hear the screams. Many people visit Westminster Burying Ground to pay their respects to Edgar Allan Poe, an amazing author. Others visit the cemetery after the dark to find out for themselves if the screaming legends are true. Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles. Hollywood Forever Cemetery lives up to its name due to all of the famous people who were buried there. Old Hollywood stars including Rudolph Valentino, Mickey Rooney, Peter Lorre, Janet Gaynor and Douglas Fairbanks are just a few of the celebrities who are buried here. In 2017, Judy Garland's grave was moved from her original burial spot in New York to Hollywood Forever in a special pavilion created just for her. Many people visit the cemetery to see the graves of Hollywood royalty, but others visit because it is said to be haunted. This haunting is like no other. The man who is said to haunt this cemetery wasn't even buried there. His name is William Randolph Hearst. He was a very wealthy newspaper mogul who died in 1951. He was buried in Cypress Lawn Cemetery in Colma, 340 miles away from Hollywood Forever Cemetery. According to the legend, though, he haunts the cemetery because that is where his longtime mistress, Marion Davies, is buried. She died 10 years after William, and it's believed that he's been haunting the cemetery ever since, looking for his true love. What other haunted cemeteries should people know about? If you know about them, tell us in the comments, and subscribe for more.